She was gesturing wildly at my property as if it were her own, sporting a floppy sun hat and dangling faux diamonds, explaining to the couple next to her. Naturally, you could put a pool house right there by the dunes. HOA approved, of course. I stood behind the fence, gripping a rusty wrench, squinting in the glare, feeling like I'd stumbled into some twisted real estate nightmare. She didn't notice me until I snapped the lock shut and announced, loud enough for her buyers to hear. That's odd, because that's my land you're peddling, and you're trespassing on it. Her grin hardened like overdone plastic surgery. The guy beside her cleared his throat awkwardly. The woman murmured, "Hold on, this isn't yours." And there it was, a quick spasm in Susan's eye, the first fracture in her facade. I had no clue how deep her con ran, but I knew I wouldn't just reclaim my plot. I'd dismantle her empire, layer by layer. Through the courts some called it justice. Others vigilante overkill that destroyed a woman's life over a patch of sand. That sand was mine, inherited from Grandpa when I was 19. Back then, I figured land just existed peacefully, like a dusty relic. I never dreamed you'd battle tooth and claw to hold onto what's yours, raising questions about whether absentee owners deserve protection or if communities should seize and used space. Life intervened, years flew by. The modest beachfront lot, squeezed between sprawling vacation mansions, stayed vacant. I came back this summer to build my eco-friendly surf cabin, only to find Susan ruling the neighborhood HOA like a self-appointed dictator. Her real name, believe it or not. She'd mailed me a notice 2 weeks prior, claiming my building supplies were cluttering community land and would be cleared. I chalked it up to a mix-up. Now, I saw the truth. Her actions sparked endless debates. Was she a greedy thief or a dedicated leader fighting urban decay? The couple she was charming bolted, heads down, like they'd crashed a family feud. Susan stayed silent at first, eyeing me as if sizing up whether she could gaslight me into vanishing. "Oh, you must be the distant relative," she said. "This spot's been idle forever." The HOA turned it into green space. "It's on the updated map. The one you doodled yourself?" I shot back, flashing the county deed and Grandpa's will, both sealed in plastic against the salty air. "This is my property. Never reassigned. And you can't hawk what isn't yours." Her teeth gritted. She forced a chuckle. "Misunderstanding. You can't barricade community beach access like this." "The fence is on my turf," I replied. "And I'll do as I please, including filing charges." I held up my phone, camera rolling. She stiffened like I'd pulled a gun. Folks like Susan bark until you bite back. Then they flee or double down. Susan chose escalation, fueling arguments that HOA enforcers are bullies or necessary guardians. She stomped to the fence, finger wagging, face contorted in mock outrage. "You're harassing an HOA board member," she declared, as if that granted immunity. I clicked the lock for emphasis. "Then your board better lawyer up." She stormed off, phone in hand, muttering about trespassers and vandalism. I wasn't fazed. Me name was etched in stone on that deed. But the next dawn revealed her depths. A fresh HOA violation notice flapped on my post like a battle flag. My lot reclassified as HOA managed due to abandonment, now a preservation zone. I laughed, nearly spitting coffee. Preservation? It was weeds and an old fire ring. Critics say such zones protect environments. But was this eco-heroism or blatant theft? I marched to the HOA office, a tacky shack with glued-on shells. Inside, a bulletin board showed glossy maps labeling my lot HOA Commons. "Who made this?" I asked the receptionist. "Mrs. Susan, our president and mapping expert." "Mapping expert? You mean she faked it with Google?" The woman beamed. "She used satellite views and all." That's when it clicked. Susan wasn't just power drunk. She was forging a fiefdom, erasing my lot from records, betting I'd never return. This was petty colonialism via spreadsheets, igniting fury over whether digital errors justify seizures. By midday, I was in Alex's law office. He sported flip-flops and a flamingo shirt, but knew property law cold. "She doctored maps," he said, slurping coconut water. "This'll be explosive. Let's expose her, though some might say public shaming crosses into cruelty." We fired off a cease and desist that afternoon. I installed a camera on my fence, turning the site into a surveilled fortress. That night, surfers nearby lit a bonfire. I joined, and a chill dude named Ryan said, "Dude, you're the one fencing off Susan's yoga spot?" Yoga spot? Yeah, she charges folks, says HOA owns it for events. We figured it was kosher. My grip tightened. She'd been monetizing my land for years. This wasn't a spat. It was warded her community benefits, excuse the profits, or was it pure exploitation? I vowed she'd root touching my sand. Sunrise brought her retaliation, an insistent knock. I emerged from my camper, disheveled, to find a stubby guy in a neon HOA vest, clipboard poised like a shield. Susan loomed behind, arms crossed, feigning disappointment. "Final warning," he intoned. "Violation of Code 4B. Unauthorized barrier on shared beach." "You mean my fence on private land?" He parroted the line robotically. "Name? Bill. Licensed officer? Compliance volunteer." Susan smirked. "Bill, you're trespassing with bogus notices. Leave, or I call the cops." His confidence wavered. Susan interjected. "We have HOA authority. We'll escalate." "Please," I said, slamming the door. By noon, Susan called an emergency HOA meeting, excluding me. But Ryan tipped me off. I arrived early, signed in defiantly, and sat amid the bamboo decor. Susan entered, tripped on the mat seeing me, but rallied. "Order." She droned about lights and bins before declaring my lot a wellness zone. My hand rose. "It's mine, deeded to me. Your maps are frauds. You've sold tours and events on it. Hat's theft." The room hushed. She waved her stack. "Prepared by our expert." A sweaty guy admitted. "I just printed them." I held up the deed. "This is real. Yours are lies for profit." Whispers erupted. "Fraud." Susan snapped. "He's disruptive, absent for years." "I'm an owner," I countered. "And ignoring me won't kill the lawsuit." Laughter rippled. She adjourned hastily. Outside, I taunted. "You thought I'd stay gone. You're destroying unity," she hissed. "You're the thief." Days quieted suspiciously. Then flyers appeared. Vote to seize abandoned lots for public use, including mine for meditation. Audacious and illegal. HOA can't grab deeded land, but proponents argue it's for the greater good. I posted a video in the group chat. Me with the deed, warning of liability. Likes poured in. Susan raged. Another meeting drew skeptics. Steve, the treasurer, confided. I didn't know she was selling. Thought it was legit. At 8:14 a.m., a fake security guard demanded inspection. I laughed him off. Susan watched from afar. I texted Alex, "Sue now." By afternoon, lawsuit papers ready. I waited. Susan's SUV invaded, tires crunching. She directed women. "Garden there, rocks here." "Susan," I called, folder in hand. "Lawsuit for fraud and theft. 30 days. She gaped. "Harassment. No justice. And your car's trespassing." Ryan and I fenced it in swiftly. She shrieked. "Lunatic. Your car on my land." Videos went viral. HOA tyrant trapped like her lies. Thousands shared. Memes exploded. Heroic takedown or cruel humiliation. Sheriff Dan arrived, reviewed papers. "Your land. All good. But warned, she'll fight dirty." Susan spun tales, but credibility crumbled. Neighbors ignored her. Steve messaged a sinking ship gif. She crashed the next meeting, projecting disputed maps. I played her sales pitch audio. Out of context, Steve exposed paid events. Chaos ensued. Emails surfaced. Susan plotting sales to overseas firms, targeting lots like Olivia's, Hospitalized, and Henry's, elderly vet. Not just mepreying on vulnerable, but was it systemic failure or isolated greed? Stomach turning, I showed Henry. She fined me for chimes. Now selling my home? We compiled proof. Alex said, "Press." News dubbed it Coastal Con, HOA boss's land grab. Meeting erupted. Susan denied, blamed hacks. Sheriff watched as her voice memo played. Push sale before checks. Edited. Steve confessed. She lied about grants. Room boiled. Susan screamed at me. "You humiliated me. Ruined everything. You did that yourself." She fled, past cameras, to her fenced car sign. Exhibit A. Footage sealed her fate, but detractors claim I orchestrated a media circus for revenge. Court reeked of stale justice. Susan's hack lawyer floundered. Alex unloaded. Deeds, emails, videos. Witnesses crucified her. Steve admitted blind approvals. Clara on stolen donations. Ryan on filming. Susan testified, dodging, then snapped. You're twisting it. Judge ruled. HOA guilty. Susan liable for fraud. Banned from boards. Criminal probes ahead. Restitution ordered. Gallery exhaled. Outside, reporters asked, what now? Billed for those she silenced. Named it due process. Party followed. HOA reformed. I dismantled the fence, rebuilt a deck community hub. Susan vanished, a cautionary specter. An envelope slipped under my door. You won. But we both lost. Don't become me. I filed it away, sat on the deck, waves whispering peace. The fight exposed ugly truths. Power corrupts, but truth endures. Yet debates rage, was Susan a villain or victim of unchecked HOA tyranny? Some say I went too far, turning private beef public, fueling anti-HOA hysteria that could dismantle needed regulations. Others hail it as rebellion against overreach, but at what cost to civility? The sand holds no answers, just echoes of a battle that redefined boundaries, leaving society divided on where justice ends and vengeance begins.